Hello friends, welcome back to the part 2 of Flowable Spring Boot integration with the PostgreSDB. So just to give you a recap, what we discussed in the part 1 is we understood and discussed how we can change the in-memory S2 database with the Postgres database. Also, we created a sample application of the vaccination using the Flowable modeler. This is what the application which we discussed where we have one user task and one business rule that has been deployed successfully using the modeler. And now in this episode of the part 2, what we are going to discuss is we are going to create a sample Spring Boot application in which mainly we will be focusing on configuring the dependencies in the pom.xml in order to get integrated with the Flowable. And then we'll see what configurations we need in the application YAML or properties to configure the PostgreSDB. And yeah, definitely after that we'll create some REST APIs in order to create the process instances, use the task completions, getting the pending task, and after that we'll integrate and test these APIs using the Postman. So let's start with that and we'll see what are the prerequisite softwares are required in order to create this Spring Boot application. Definitely you need some JDK to be installed in your machine, and minimum 1.8 should be there. And also Maven should be installed. You should have any IDE tool, Eclipse, IntelliJ or any other which you can use for the development. And Flowable and Postgres database should be there in your machine. So let's start with creating the Spring Boot application. For that, what you can do, you can go to the Spring Initializer website where you can select the project as a Maven. You can select language as Java and select a Spring Boot version as compatible with your Flowable open source. So for 6.6, I'm using 2.4.6 Spring Boot version, but it can be changed based upon your community version of Flowable. And other details like project metadata, group artifact name, description, package name, you can give as per your choice. And packaging we can take as a var file, and Java version you can use whatever is installed in your machine. So 8 is something which is minimum, so I'm using it. With that, you can explore how your project will look like, and it will give you an overview of your POM, which includes the Java JDK version and the Spring Boot version. And also it will include the Spring Boot starter dependencies in your POM that you can download and then you can import in your IDE machine. Also there is another option where you can go into IntelliJ or Eclipse. I'm using IntelliJ, so you can create a new project and you can use a Maven project and give the name of your project. It will create a blanket application, a Spring Boot application, and then we can start configuring the same. So friends, the purpose here is you should have a blanket Spring Boot application in your machine. Either you can create it using the IDE or you can create it using the Spring Initializer. So once you have that, what we need is we need to configure and understand what are the important dependencies we need to induce in the pom.xml to integrate with the Flowable. And second thing is what are the properties we need to configure in the application YAML to integrate with the and database like we are using PostgreSDB. So for the benefit of interest, I have already created an application which is very simple one, and the source code I have already checked it in the Git repo of mine, and the link of that code I will be sharing in the description of this video. So in the later point in time you can refer that code as per your interest. So let's understand in the pom.xml what is required. So we have this Spring Boot starter parent with version 2.4.4, and also the Java JDK what we are using is 1.8. So after that, if we see the dependencies, these are very few, and these two are already the Spring Boot starter. But for the Flowable, we need one dependency like Flowable Spring Boot starter from the group ID org.flowable, as it is from the community version. The version I'm using is 6.6.0, so you can have it here or you can create a variable above. Second dependency is for the PostgreSQL, because we are using that database, so that dependency also I have included in my pom.xml. So that's it. Apart from that, you need not to induce any other dependency. These are sufficient. After which, if you go into the source resources. In application.properties, what I'm using is I'm using the Postgre database details which we have used for the modeler as well. In our part 1 video, we have changed the configurations in the flowable default properties, right? So the same Postgre details which we have used for the modeler, I'm using in this application dot properties of a Spring Boot application, where I'm giving the driver class name, URL, and username and password of my database. Apart from that, I have changed the default port to 8081. So this application will be running on this port, and I have added the context path as tutorial. So whenever I'll be executing my REST API, right, I need to include this context path as well. So apart from that, if you see, I have a logback.xml as well, where I'm creating the logs of this application in tutorials.log in this particular repository. And if that's about the resources, and this is the main class of my Spring Boot application, tutorial application, which will be having this annotation of a Spring Boot application, and I'm having this component scan of the controllers. So once this application is getting started, I'm printing the log that my tutorial application has been started. So when we look into the controllers, we have this process controller where we have written the endpoints, and this annotator has been used in Spring Boot for mentioning any controller like REST controller, and component scan I'm using for the services package. So compute flowable.service is my service package. So here we have written all the endpoints for deploying an application, for creating a new request, for completing a user task, also for claiming a task, for unclaiming a task, and for getting the user request or active user task in the workflow by using the get pending task. So that's about a very high level details of this Spring Boot application. But before we'll go into the next steps of debugging and see how this REST APIs have been written, let's try to start this application. So I'm starting it in a debug mode, which in turn is going to start this Spring Boot application on the desired port which we have configured in the application properties, and that details we can refer using the logs as well, where you can see the application is successfully started on port 8081 with the context path tutorial in the time of this many seconds. And after that, this is the logger which we are printing in the main class that tutorial application is started. So with this, right, the properties or the dependencies we have injected, right, with this application is successfully started. And now if we look into the REST APIs, what we have written here in the controller. So let's talk one by one. First thing is, like, for instantiating any new case, we have created this create vaccination request API, which is a post mapping. What it is doing is it is accepting a vaccination object request body, and this will be having the details of like name, KYC, age, status, and title of the person who is going for vaccination. So with this, right, what we are doing is we are calling application service, which is object of application service class, which is auto-wired here in the controller. And here we have a initiate workflow process method has been created, which where we are passing the vaccination object and the process definition key. This definition key we have as of now used as a process. Now when we come to the method of application service initiate workflow, right, it is accepting again the same method which we are passing from the controller, accepting the vaccination object and the process definition key of your model. So before looking into this method, right, we'll see what are the this application service, right, is annotated as a service which treat this Spring Boot application that it serves as a service class. And we have auto-wired the runtime service, task service, and repository service of the Flowable, so which will be used in the different methods. Like runtime service we are using for creating a new instance, task service we are using for completing a user task or for getting the pending task, active pending task, claiming or unclaiming a task. So that time task service will be used. And similar way, this repository service we are using when we are deploying any new application or for the deployment purpose. Apart from that, we have other services as well which can be used for the different purposes, like a history service or identity service for the different operations provided by the Flowable. But as of now, these are the three services we have auto-wired. Coming back to the initiate workflow, after coming here, we are having some sysout. After that, we are creating a map of a string and objects, which is reading the one by one all the variables we are passing, like name, KYC and age and other things. So whatever variables we are having, we are putting into this map, and after that we are having this method for creating a new instance. So process instance class object we are creating, and using the runtime service we are calling start process instance by key, where we are passing the process definition key, which is the key of your model, and the variables which we have just assigned. So with that, it will call internally the Flowable runtime service and create a unique instance, and after that we are printing the process instance details. So let's try to create one instance using the Postman. Once we discuss about this creation request, right, we'll discuss about the other REST APIs as per the workflow will get progressed. So coming back to the Postman, I have already created one request. So we are pointing to the port 8081. We have this context part tutorial, and using the endpoint create vaccination request, which we are having for creating the new request here, create vaccination request. So we are giving some parameters like input request, name, KYC, age, state, title and status in the body. And with this, right, I'll try to create a new request. I have a debugger point here, so let me execute it. With this, if you'll see here, now new process instance ID, this one is been created successfully. So our new case has been created. If you want to cross verify, we can go to the PG admin, and we'll see if this instance has been created successfully or not. Yes, it has been created. Now status is been updated from new to pending for approval based upon the details what we have given, and basis upon this processing. So after creating, right, it has went to the business rule where status has been updated. Why? Because we have this KYC status as given yes. So because it is not in this, so it has been updated with the status pending for approval. So it has been done, and after that it should be pending with the user task. So for checking that, we'll see if this instance has been there or not. So yeah, the same process instance ID, right, which we have taken CEB, this is there in the ACTRU task, which means for the active user task. So yeah, for this process instance ID, we have this task ID available, and we can see the status also, we have 2 tasks are pending for approval, okay, in this workflow. One I have created before this demo. So overall 2 pending tasks are there. If we also want to see using the Flowable admin app, we can go there and we can see in the process engine, and these are the deployment details, and here we have these instances which have been created for this vaccination process definition. If you want to open anything, right, you can see what are the variables are there, what we have passed, right. So these details are there, KYC, name and state and status, everything we can see here. This is the decision which has been executed, so that you can see all these details from here, and other details as well for this process. So you can see all these details from the Flowable admin portal as well. So after that, what we can see is we can check what we can do for getting the active user task. So in the process controller, we have another REST API written, so which is like get pending task. It's a get mapping. So what we are doing is, again, in the application service, we have this get user task, where using the task service we are creating a query for listing all the unassigned tasks, okay, and that we are getting using this get task details. So what we are doing is we are also like attaching all the process variables which are associated to the task one by one, and after that we are returning this task details to the main method. So for this, again we can see in Postman to execute this REST API. So here we have this get pending task which is pointing to port 8081 for the tutorial context path. We have this REST endpoint get pending task which we have exposed. If I'll execute this, it is giving me the response 200 OK, and in the response you can see I am getting the task details. So we have the two tasks with the task ID, name, and other variables. So because in the database we have two tasks, so they are successfully retrieved using this API. Now the next step is we would like to complete one of the user tasks. So for that we have another REST API written for completing a user task with the endpoint complete task. Here what we are doing is we are giving the task info object, where in the application service we are calling this method complete user task. Here we need to pass the user action which we are trying to complete, that we can provide in a variable, or if anything else you want to pass, right, while completing a user task, any additional variable you want to pass, like comments or remarks or anything else, so that you can create a variable and you can pass in the variables object. So this is the task service API within which we have this complete method which accept the two variables, like the task ID which is mandatory and the variables can be anything like the outcome, comments, and anything. So using this, right, we can complete any user task. For this we need one of the active user tasks. So we'll get the task ID from here, or we can get it from the get pending task also, like the result what we received, right? So there also we have this task ID. We can copy one of the active task ID and we'll have this complete task API which is a post call, and here we need to give these two variables, like first is the task ID and second is the outcome. So outcome, as of now we have only one outcome of that user task from the workflow what we have designed. So only one outcome is there, so we are ending this workflow. If there are multiple outcomes are there, right, let's say if you want to approve or reject, so based upon that your outcomes may change, and based upon that you need to orchestrate your workflow to the different directions. So for the simplicity, as of now we have only one outcome, so let's give it as a complete. If we click on the send button, we have this 200 OK, which means this user task has been completed successfully. And if we go into the logs, we'll see in the console the task has been completed successfully. This task is now completed, right? So this pending task should give us only the one task available. So I am executing it again. So here you can see we are getting only one user task now, and the other task which we have just completed, right, it has been not listed here. And if we go into the database also and try to execute this, we will get only one task. So other task has been completed already, so it is not there in the active task, but we can get the details in the historic tables. If you want to see, we can get the details in the historic tables accordingly. So in the last we'll discuss about two more APIs from the Flowable, like claim task and unclaimed task. So basically claim task is something which we will use whenever we want to assign any user task to a particular user ID. So once an application within the application, if any user task is been reached, right, it will be assigned to a particular group. From group, if you want to assign to a particular user, this API we can use. So what we are doing here is we have this REST endpoint claim task, which is a post mapping. Here we are passing this task info object, and in the application service we are calling this claim task method, which in turn reading the task ID and user ID. So using the Flowable task service, we have this claim method where we need to pass this to variables task ID and user ID. So this task will be assigned to that particular user ID. So here what we can see is we'll have in this, we have another column assignee in the ACTRU task. So we can see here this assignee is null for this particular task ID. We'll try to use this claim task API using the Postman. So this is the claim task where we are giving this task ID and we are giving one user, okay, ds_12345 So if we try to click here, we have a debugger. Let me pass it. So we have this output created. This task is claimed successfully by user, okay, this user ID, and in this we have 200 OK response. And if we go and check, this task has been assigned to this user assignee ds_12345 And similar to claim task, we have another API unclaimed task, which is used like if you want to release any task right from a user. So it's a reverse, vice versa. When we want to unassign a task from a user ID again to that particular queue or group, then we can use this unclaimed task. So here we just need one task ID to be required. So it's again a post call, and here in the application service we have this method unclaimed task, which in turn what it is doing is using the task service we have unclaimed method where we need to pass one task ID. So if we pass it, it will release this task ID and it will assign, or it will be available to that particular queue. So all assignees will be removed. So for that we have this unclaimed user task. We have the same user task ID which we can use, this task ID which is assigned to this user. If we click on send, we have a 200 OK response. So if we try to execute this again, this assignee has been removed and this task is now again available to the particular queue. So with this I'll conclude this part 2 episode as well, and I believe after watching the part 1 and part 2 of Spring Boot integration with the Flowable, right, you will be able to successfully create and deploy an application and perform the task or case creation and user task completion and get task and other thing. So guys, I believe after following these 2 tutorials it will be really helpful, and this is something which was being requested by many users to prepare this tutorial. If in case it is really helpful, right, please share your feedback in the comment section and like and share this video, and also post in the comment section if you want to learn something specific to the Flowable. Then I'll try to prepare a video accordingly. Thanks for your love and support. Stay safe and stay healthy.